You're a failure.
And that's okay. Hi, I'm Dan.
And I'm Alicia. And we're
failures
too.
We take a walk back through people's failures and relive the mistakes they made so we all can have more clarity in how to be a better human.
Welcome to the 2020 Perspective, where we make failure fun.
Today we're going to be listening to our interview with Danielle Marquis, Vice President of Revenue Operations at Zappy, and how she got everything she wanted and then realized it really wasn't what she wanted and had to take a step away. Let's dive right in.
So I'm Danielle. I lead a revenue operations team at a company called Zappy. We're digitizing consumer insights, which is really cool. It's kind of bringing a really pertinent part of a company into the new age of software and digitization of analytics and really dirty word of AI. So I'm supporting our sales, CS, and marketing teams. It's something I've been doing for 10 years in several different verticals, but in the software space.
Mm-hmm.
So supporting auction house companies, sports analytics. It's my first time in market research world, learning a whole lot about that domain. And yeah, just doing business stack, analytics, enablement, cross-functional liaison collaboration.
Great. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us and telling us about failure. Here on the podcast, we really like talking to smart, motivated, interesting people and talk to them about times when maybe things weren't so successful. Or mistakes made or bad decisions made, because they're just so interesting to hear and also really interesting just to hear the journey from that.
Yeah, definitely. Do you want me to just dive right in?
Yeah, dive right in. Bring us on a journey.
I'm on the edge of my seat. I can't wait to hear about your failure. Let's hear it.
I think my most recent larger failure was more so in my personal side of professional development. I'm pretty assertive. I'm outgoing. I tend to speak up in a room when a lot of people might not. It gives me a good and a bad impression in some rooms. But I had a boss actually at my last company that was the first time I really failed at upward management. Mm-hmm. So my biggest failure has actually been upward management and probably several of my past positions now that I can reflect back on that.
Uh-huh.
And it's kind of cool being in an environment with, really collaborative hierarchy. We have a pretty flat hierarchy here at Zappy, and it's helped me reflect on how detrimental that can be to your happiness, your productivity, not just your productivity, but when you're managing people, how successful they're going to be and how happy they are in their job. So that biggest failure for me was a couple months in the making of just letting someone else be more assertive and just being the yes girl. Mm-hmm. And trying to, I was newer in the role and, really wanted to have some quick wins, wanted to show that, I could build a team and manage all these people. And in hindsight, what I really wanted to do was spend a couple months learning the business, learning what they needed, defining what those roles were, making sure I could actually articulate how to make those roles successful and then hire. Mm-hmm. So in my second month, I was told first month I was told I'd have one employee the whole year, an enablement guy, make it work, be really lean. Great. I'm used to that. I come into scaling businesses, and within 2 months when I had given my findings of what we needed, all of a sudden he had gone and gotten 12 roles approved for me to self-hire. So and me being the
roles.
Yeah, across every feature of sales operations that you could think of. So
did you have to fill all of them, or was it optional? Like, is this like, okay, we have 12 people that need to help you like get these things done, or was it like, we have up to 12, choose what you need to do?
Yeah, so that was a failure of upward management. I was told we have these 12 roles, we've got to fill them as soon as possible. Whereas I actually had an opportunity to speak up and say, hey, we're not ready to fill these all right now. There's a couple key roles we could fill right now that will just help us lift off a little faster, but hiring them all is probably not our best idea. And instead I said, yeah, I'm new here. I want to like dominate. I'm going to self-hire these. Great. I barely know how to talk about the company. That's really fun when you're like running a department and you're doing a screening call and they ask you a lot of huddles or so. Oh shit, I said the.
It's all good. They're asking you like cultural questions. You're like, I have no idea. I got here like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. I mean, did you know where the bathrooms were and like know where the like how to restock the coffee machine?
That I find like coffee machine, not so much. Bathrooms, yes.
So like what was going through your head when you got this opportunity? You know, they said like fill 12 and you said, what did you say to yourself like that afternoon?
Quite frankly, I think when I reflect back on what was actually going through my head, I was like, whoa, sweet. I've always had to beg for roles. I just got these handed to me. They must trust me. I'm going to do it. I'm going to fill these. We're going to have this kick-ass sales ops department. This will be the biggest management team I've had. We're going to do this. And
no way it could go wrong. No way.
No. So I put myself in a position where I was trying to build a roadmap, implement most of it because those roles weren't hired yet, and hire. Not just hire, but screen, first interview, project review, final interview for 12 roles. So I hired probably 4 of them pretty much off the bat, and then kept interviewing for other ones. And I think my fact that I wasn't sleeping and I was literally going to work, working all day, coming home, reviewing resumes, making calls, sending emails, working all night. My relationship went down the drain. Yeah, my poor dog probably felt neglected.
So what was the turning point? Like, when did you be like, hold the phone, this is not going as planned?
Yeah, so that was probably once I got them all hired and I realized I had a billing department, I had an enablement department, I had a analytics department all under my sales ops head. I kind of hit that like, holy shit, I've been sitting in one-on-ones every single hour of every single day. And then I'm in a cross-functional meeting over here and I've missed every OKR. So I said to my boss, I was like, we've got to do something because the second failure in all this hiring when you're trying to get that through by yourself, I didn't hire any leaders. So I had a whole lot of individual contributors and no one I could tap as like a core lead, right, to help take off some of the management pressure. So that was actually something we collaboratively worked on to ironically get another role in, but hire someone that had a little bit more leadership and could come in and take on 5 roles and be their manager, and then I would just work with them. But yeah, so in all of this, part of the additional failure of not really upward managing very well was I also felt like the more this person confided in me and vented in me that I was like in this inner circle and I felt really badass and I got kind of cocky and I was like, shit, I'm learning a lot of things before people know about it. And that was also when I was starting to get really overwhelmed with not having enough time for myself. I was starting to fail my employees. You get the 360-degree review back and you're like, oh shoot, they're actually right. I've been in a meeting but not in the meeting, for the last 3 months because I'm answering a Slack over here and a personnel issue over there and fire drill at Salesforce over here. Yeah, I think when I hit my kind of personal break of like, I can't deal with another issue myself. I actually talked to someone finally in HR and was like, hey, I have this situation going on. I don't think it's right. I'm also like over my skis with the amount of people that are reporting to me and relying on me. I need to do what's best for them. So we actually were working on kind of reorging what that looked like. I've always been really passionate about business ops as a whole, not just the sales operation. So that cross-functional end-to-end, the go-to-market across all departments at a company. And what do those handoffs look like? What does the communication look like? All that. So started working through like, is there a spot at that company for me to do that rather than just sales? I think at that point was where it was like, this is not it.
So
my dream job. This is not my next 5 years.
So, you realize this, you talk to HR, you had a talk with yourself, and then kind of how did you extricate yourself from that situation? Like what was the exit strategy or solution?
So I think it was kind of a mutual exit strategy, to be honest. I think we got to the point where it was like, I don't really know what my role is here. I'm talking with you about forming this whole new role for the company. What's going to happen with all these people that are now have very little leadership? So that was something where just took the time and we parted ways. And honestly, it's at 31, it was the first time I took a break from working. I took 3 months to just like not work, figure out what I want to do, explore that business ops, explore getting into potentially some investor world stuff. So it was great. It was like the best refresher, and it was a ton of reflections. Like that's where I was like, I can pinpoint a lot of failures and what I've learned now, but it also helped me realize like this company I'm at now, why I was so like I've just felt right away. And I think it's because I was able to actually take some mental space away from work to then think through like, what is a happy environment? What is positivity? What does growth look like for sure? Because after 10 years in this same kind of world of sales ops, you get kind of jaded on like what is true growth, because sales ops has a few different directions you could go at a company. And I thought I was on that like I want to own the world path, and I think I'm one of those people that's always going to come in and like get my hands dirty, but also be able to build out your roadmap, right? And that was good for me to be able to figure that out, because I'm like I'm 8 months in here or something, and I'm excited every day to come in, and that's not like marketing. It's the first time I think in my career I've like been really excited.
Wait, so I wanna ask you, first of all, thank you for all this, but I want to go back to these 3 months where you were reflecting and thinking and asking yourself these questions. Can you help us understand a little bit more about what that looks like? Like, what did you do when you woke up, and how did you ask yourself these questions? Are you journaling? Are you just, thinking as you're walking your dog? Like, help us understand what that looks like.
Yeah, there was a lot of thinking while walking the dog.
Yeah, me too. That's what I do, a lot of my thinking too. So I was like, this is how I picture it, but I want to hear from your perspective.
Yeah, I actually, I'm a talker, right? I talk through things. Writing down things works. I don't journal as much as I probably should with the amount I talk, but I actually just started reconnecting with people that first I thought through like who have been really either positive role models or someone I've seen at a conference or at a networking event that I was just like blown away by. I'm like, wow, I want that life, right? Like I want their energy. I want to have their experiences and feel as passionate about them as they do, right? So I kind of wrote down a list of people I wanted to reconnect with or connect with to begin with. Kind of just had fun for a couple of weeks, to be honest. I tried some consulting work on the side. I was like, maybe I'll do my own consulting thing, what most Salesforce admins or sales ops people do when they don't want to work with their current company. And I was like, no, that's not me. I like people. I need to talk to people every day. I can't just sit at home and be on my computer. And I honestly did a black hole resume upload, and I was like, shit, I'm gonna get spammed to hell. This is definitely just a recruiter list building exercise.
What's a black hole like?
Like, it was honestly, I found this job description. In order to get the name of the company the description was for, you had to upload your resume.
Oh, I've seen those. I've seen those.
What?
It's like listed as like confidential. Confidential. Got it.
Like, what are these kinds of companies? Are they worth a damn or no?
No,
We don't know.
it gets
Okay.
better. Well, this was my company, but my now boss was like, so he called me that night. And he's like, hey, you probably don't get cold calls from a CRO much, but I saw your resume come through and your background's just what we've been looking for. We've been trying to recruit for 6 months. So I literally got on a Zoom the next day with him, was in a 6-person final interview the next day. And he goes, so let me ask, like, how did you find this? We've been trying to find like a good background. And I was like, and I told him the same thing I just said. Like, it was a black hole resume upload. I knew I was just going to get spammed, which to this day I still get spammed by like several cheesy recruiting emails. No matter how many times I hit unsubscribe, I'm like, should I just report him to canned spam? Or yeah. He goes, wait, what was the site? And I told him, and I walked him through. He goes, okay, so I'm kind of like rip shit that they're using our job. So it's a site that crawls open job descriptions and just posts them. And he's like, I'm kind of rip shit that they're doing that illegally. He's like, but I'm like, I can't be that mad because then I found you. So
Yeah.
like I have this conflicting thought process. Yeah, it's like some bogus aggregator site.
So you got your current job by uploading to a basically black hole of a place. You basically said, hey, internet, let me upload. And it was some scammy middleman person thing.
So I tried all the like soul searching stuff, and then I finally did the like I'm kind of sick of sitting at home thing, and I just uploaded it. And
it almost sounds like if you didn't have that desperation, you wouldn't have done that, and you wouldn't have gotten your current job.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was probably it.
That's crazy.
Eddie's like, honestly, watch every Netflix series now, and we got to move on from this.
Did you feel like when you were uploading your resume to this black hole site, I've never heard of this before, so I'm just going to keep saying it because it's fun to say.
Yeah.
So this black hole site, did you feel like it was a risk, or were you just like, screw it, this is the last resort? Or did you feel like I'm taking a risk by doing this?
I felt like I was taking a risk by putting my information out there, but I was actually really excited about the job description itself. And I was like, I just want to find out the company. And then I was honestly, all I needed to do was find out the company, and then I was going to go find someone to reach out to myself.
Yeah.
I was not expecting the CRO to call me like within 3 hours.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's like you have to sometimes get out of what we think are like the right traditional paths in order to find something that you never would have intentionally set out to find, you know?
That's exact. It's, I always thought it was cheesy when I went through my breakup, when everyone's like, everything happens for a reason, and, you know, timing, and you'll find it when you're not looking. I was like, shit, it actually happened with my job. So
I'm kind of curious, like what, you know, looking back on all this and having this conversation, what do you think you've changed about yourself, or what do you think you've really taken away as like a real like life lesson from this experience?
Yeah. So I think I found my voice again. That's how I'll put that. I started out in my career fast because I had a voice, and I knew when to speak up and what to speak up about, who to talk to. And I think I lost that a little bit on that, like trying to find myself, trying to climb the ladder, trying to literally do everything. And so at this company, I just keep bringing it back because environment was the number one thing for me. In whatever I took next, I had to feel like it was an actual family environment. Because that's, you know, from my perspective, I'm very, like I said, empathetic. I feel a lot of things, and I need to be around others that make it an open environment to talk, right?
Mm-hmm.
To speak up. And I'm on an executive team, and I'm one of 2 women out of 6 people. So, and the other one is she's kind of like a lone wolf. She does like a lot of our Insights Line stuff. So it's kind of her and I trying to have a larger voice, and I'm not a big like women business person. Like I don't like to get into that conversation. But I do think when you're in sales ops, right, it can be really difficult when you have mainly male heads of sales. What I've learned is it's okay to speak up. The worst thing they're going to do is push back, or they're going to sit there and be like, oh shit, yeah, you're right, I should have thought that through, or maybe that's not the right decision, or, you know, and that's been the coolest thing. I started out from the interview with my boss, the CRO, is this is how I need to interact with my peers and with the people that are managing me. Is I need to have that open communication. And I've even had a really difficult conversation with him probably 3 times since I started on certain different elements where in my previous role I would have never done that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always, I mean, those are always uncomfortable, right? You're always kind of going in sweating a little bit and like, how do I word this? But just like, I think setting those expectations up front is probably the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm. Great.
I do have one more question.
Go for it.
So how do you think that your experience with not like kind of managing up and if, correct me if I'm using that the wrong way that you're intending, but like, how do you see that playing out into your future with this company or with future roles?
I think it's more just staying, I guess, strong on it and remembering that it's okay to manage up and it's actually healthy to manage up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to have a healthy 360 at a company, you should be comfortable managing up, down, and sideways, right? I have really hard conversations with my sales and customer success leader peers, right? We butt heads sometimes on things, and we come out of the conference room and we grab a glass of wine or a beer, and we're fine. But it's known that like that's a business decision, and we're all trying to do the best thing for the business. So if you find an environment that understands that, and that's core values, it becomes natural, I guess. Mm-hmm. I think that's the biggest thing is needs to be part of that company's values.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think it's really tough to know that you're in the right environment until you've been in the wrong environment and realized, wow, I needed a place like where I am now, where I can now express myself and actually see those values in action and allow me to have uncomfortable conversations and it be totally okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a really cool conversation with Danielle. Also, love the name, Danielle, Dan. Really strong, powerful name. So I was thinking through that conversation. I was getting chills about how it really started with some 360 conversations. So getting feedback from her boss, getting feedback from her employees, from her peers that triggered this kind of self-assessment piece, this, hey, you were in a meeting, but not in the meeting. And then her realization, yep, that's right. That is absolutely right. And I got to say, it takes some serious confidence and also vulnerability to say, like, I'm open to admitting that I am wrong. I'm in the wrong and something needs to change. And then following up and doing something about it. And inevitably saying and walking away from the job where she was given everything she wanted. So that struck me, not only, a testament to her willingness and her vulnerability, but the fact that those were the choices that needed to happen so that she could really recognize that a failure happened and that something needed to change.
Yeah. I always really admire when people ask themselves when they receive feedback, how could this be true? How could this be true? Even if you don't agree with it, because it's hard to get feedback from people, especially if it's around a blind spot and we're just totally taken off guard and you say, okay, maybe I don't agree with it, but let me ask, how can it be true? And be really honest with your response on that. I think, hearing her time about reflection and that 3 months when she was taking a break, at 31 for the first time stopping working. And I think we get so caught up in the grind of life that we don't give ourselves an opportunity to just pause and say, how am I here? How did I get here? What am I doing? And how am I going to move forward? And she stopped and she asked herself those questions. And the way that she processed and reflected is she talked to people out loud. She was a collaborative thinker and shared with people that she cared about with friends and family and colleagues and really talked out loud. She said she didn't do so much of the journaling piece, which I think that does help some people, but you really have to take into consideration what works for you. If it's easier to sit down and have a conversation and get all those thoughts that are swirling around in your brain out, sometimes it helps people outline what the needs are and then how to take action on getting to that next best place for them.
Yeah. I know that I'm more like her, where I need to talk it out with people. I can like make this whole idea in my head of feedback just not connecting or not working, and then I say it out loud, and then someone gives me the crazy eyes, and then I say, oh, I guess that is kind of weird. Yeah, I guess that doesn't quite work.
My brother makes fun of me because I'm very much the out loud thinker person, and he will say, oh God, Alicia, you're going to sit down with someone and they're going to know your whole life story, all your problems and all the details that they don't want to know, simply because, you just need to think out loud for a second and think through whatever's swirling around your head. And it's so true. So many Uber drivers know all my history and background because I just divulge with anyone at any captive audience. And then I walk away feeling amazing. That's why I think, being able to talk about our failures with others is an extremely important and valuable opportunity to learn and get through it and come out on top.
Yeah. And so I think that's probably a really good takeaway for anyone listening to this podcast is, what's your method of processing? Are you the kind of person who's going to journal? Are you the kind of person who needs to take the dog on a walk and think? Or are you the kind of person who wants to talk it out loud with somebody who you trust? And once you figure out what your kind of method of self-reflection is, actually going and doing it around something that might be problematic for you or stressing you out, or maybe something you spend a lot of time on and you never really critically examined, why don't you go talk about it with somebody? And see what happens. Worst thing that happens, you have a conversation.
Yeah, find a way to maybe conduct your own 360 assessment. We're talking about this could be a luxury for many people in your company or just in life, having the money and the tools to do a 360 and having someone actually like administer that for you. And even if you don't work with the crew of people, like you might not have all these different outlets of feedback from people that you work with. So think about how you, regardless of whether it's at work or in your personal life, how you can conduct your own 360 assessment by going and getting feedback from the people around you that you work with regularly or that love and care about you. And when they give you feedback, ask yourself, how could this be true? Maybe it's tough to hear, but how could it be true? And like you were just saying, Dan, what action can I take from this to move on?
Thanks to No BS Brass Band for the Bang & Show music. Check them out at nobsbrass.com. And subscribe on your favorite podcast player or follow us on Facebook to get the newest failures delivered right to your ears. And may your failures be spectacular.